In this video, you'll learn how to integrate OpenAI's API, the technology behind ChatGPT, into a Flutter app. Let's search for OpenAI API on Google. The first result is the official OpenAI API platform, so let's click on it. Click on the Start Building button, and from the drop-down, select API Documentation. Before we start coding, let's take a quick look at the API we're going to use. In the left panel, under Core Concepts, click on Responses API. On this page, you can see that OpenAI recommends using the Responses API for new projects. It also recommends migrating from the Chat Completions API to the Responses API. The Chat Completions API remains supported, but the Responses API is recommended for all new projects. So, for our Flutter AI Chat app, we'll use the Responses API. Click on the Responses API link. To create a model response, we need to make a post request. You can also find this in the left panel. Here, you can see how to create a response using the API, and the curl request is also shown here. The input field in this example contains more data than we need for this tutorial. Don't worry about that for now. The input field can be sent in two ways. For a simple text prompt, we can pass it as a string. If we need to send multiple messages or multimodal content, such as images or files, we can use the array format. In this tutorial, we'll use the simpler string format. Here, you can see that the input field is simply taking a string. When checking the API documentation, sometimes you might not see a simple example like this, but we can still verify how it works using Postman. Before that, we need to create an API key, so click on API Dashboard in the top right corner. This will take us to the API platform. In the left panel, click on API Keys. If you have already created API keys, they will be listed here. To create a new one, click on Create New Secret Key. A new dialog will appear. In the name field, let's enter Multi-Chat and click on the Create Secret Key button. The API key has now been generated. Just like the message says, you won't be able to view the full secret key again, so make sure you copy it and store it somewhere secure. Click on the Copy button and then click Done. Now, click on the API Key Usage button at the top, near the Create Secret Key button. On this page, you can see how much we're spending on API usage. You can also click on the Settings icon, or Manage, on the right side. On this page, you can set an alert for when your usage reaches a specific point. For example, you can set it to 10%, or choose your own threshold, such as 30% or 50%. This can be very useful when you have limited credits and want to keep track of your usage and use your credits more carefully. Now, let's click on Billing in the left side panel. On this page, you can see the remaining credits amount. One important thing to note is that your ChatGPT subscription and your API billing are separate. Even if you have a paid ChatGPT subscription, it doesn't automatically include API usage. API usage is billed separately through the API platform. So if you're building an app using the OpenAI API, you need to set up billing and credits separately on the API platform. To add credits, click on the Add to Credit Balance button. A dialog appears here where you can add an amount between $5 and $91 along with your payment method, and then click Continue. I'm going to cancel it now because I already have enough credits to demonstrate the example. Now let's get back to our curl request. In Postman, I'm already using the Responses API, and I've also added content-type with the value application /JSON. Let's add the authorization header with bearer, followed by our API key. Bearer tells the API that we're using the API key as the authentication token. Now let's add the request body in JSON format. We'll add the model with the value GPT 5.4 and an input field containing our prompt as a JSON object. The request method is post, so let's click the send button. And here's the result. Our response text is inside the output field, which is an array. Inside the first object, there's another content array, and inside its first object, the text field contains the actual response from the model. Now let's start adding this to our Flutter code. Let's go to the LLM service file and create another static constant variable called _OpenAI URL and paste our responses API URL as a string value. After that, let's copy the entire Generate Gemini content method and paste it above the existing method. We'll rename the new method from Gemini to Generate GPT content. Now let's add our OpenAI API key to the .env file. We'll create a GPT_API_key variable and paste our API key as its value. Oh, let's copy it from Postman. One important thing. When copying the API key from Postman, we only need the API key itself from the authorization header value. We don't include bearer in the .env file. We'll add bearer when constructing the authorization header in our Flutter code. Now, let's change the Gemini API key value in the .env get method to GPT API key. And change the Gemini API key variable to GPT API key. Next, let's change the URL in the HTTP post method. Inside URI_parse, we'll use _OpenAI URL, which we created earlier. Now, let's update the headers. We'll replace the xgoog API key header with the authorization header. Its value should be bearer, followed by a space and our $GPT API key. We already have the content type header set to application/JSON, so let's add the request body inside JSON encode. Inside the request body, we need to pass the model and the input in JSON format. Remember, the request body needs to be sent as a JSON string, not as a Dart map. That's why we're using JSON encode method to convert our Dart map into a JSON string. For the model, we'll use GPT 5.4. Let's copy the model name from the Postman and paste it here. For the input, we'll pass the prompt from our text field. Great, our request part is done. Now let's move on to the response. If the request is successful, we'll have the decoded response stored in our data variable, which is a Dart map. Let's check the response structure. Our response text is inside the output array, so let's change the steps key to output. Inside the output array, we have the content array at index 0. Let's change that as well. Next is the content field. That's already in our code, so we'll leave it as it is. And again, we're accessing index 0, which is also already there. Finally, the generated response is available in the text field, which is also already in our code. Great! We've now updated the response parsing, so our GPT integration is complete. Let's go back to the _ask method and change the third provider's method to generate GPT content. Now let's run the app. The app is up and running. Let's change the provider to GPT. Tap on the text field and ask the same question. Which model do you use? Tell me about it in 300 words. Perfect. We got the response from GPT. Let's also test the other providers. First, Claude. Great. Now Gemini. Perfect. Everything is working as expected. That's it for this video. In the next part, we'll integrate Grok into our Flutter app. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.